Albert Einstein, the story of a genius who changed the world. Part 1. Childhood, early years, and path to science. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in the small German city of Ulm. Few could have imagined that this child, who did not start speaking until the age of 4, would one day become a symbol of genius and fundamentally change the way humanity views the universe. His father, Hermann Einstein, owned a small electrical workshop, and his mother, Pauline, had a deep love for music, which he passed on to her son. From an early age, Albert showed curiosity and an unusual ability to think outside conventional boundaries. One story tells of how young Einstein was fascinated by a simple compass. At the age of 5, he became obsessed with the idea that an invisible force could move the needle. This moment sparked his lifelong interest in the hidden laws of nature. Later, Albert himself would say that it was then he first realized there must be invisible powers in the world that we cannot see with our eyes. Einstein's schooling was not easy. In the rigid German education system of the time, children were expected to obey without question. Teachers considered him lazy and unmotivated, as he preferred to think for himself rather than blindly follow instructions. Nevertheless, his love for mathematics and physics grew steadily. By the age of 12, he was devouring books on geometry and algebra, teaching himself concepts far beyond his school curriculum. After completing school, Einstein faced difficulties entering university. His first attempt to enroll at the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich was unsuccessful. He failed most subjects except for mathematics and physics. However, persistence was one of his strongest traits. He soon enrolled in a preparatory program, passed, and in 1896 entered the Polytechnic, where he studied physics and mathematics. It was there that Einstein developed the qualities that would define him as a scientist: an uncompromising drive for independence of thought, the ability to focus deeply on a problem, and the courage to question authorities, no matter how respected. At the same time, Albert struggled with academic bureaucracy and often clashed with professors who valued rote memorization over true understanding. In 1900, Einstein graduated, but instead of immediately starting an academic career, he spent several difficult years in search of work. It seemed the world did not yet recognize his talent. Finally, in 1902, he found employment at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. It was this seemingly ordinary job that gave him the time and freedom to begin developing revolutionary ideas that would soon change the world. Part 2. Annus Mirabilis. Relativity and worldwide famous. Year 1905 became the turning point of Einstein's life and is now known as his Annus Mirabilis miracle year. While still working at the patent office, he published 4 groundbreaking papers in the journal Annalen der Physik. These works reshaped physics forever. Photoelectric effect. Einstein explained how light could behave like particles, quanta of energy, later called photons. This discovery laid the foundation of quantum theory. Brownian motion. He mathematically described the chaotic movement of particles in liquids, providing undeniable proof of the existence of atoms and molecules. Special relativity. He proposed that space and time are relative and interconnected. The speed of light, however, is absolute and constant. Mass-energy equivalence. From relativity, Einstein derived the most famous formula in the world, E equals mc, showing that mass and energy are two sides of the same coin. These discoveries catapulted Einstein into the scientific elite. In 1909, he became a professor, and soon his lectures attracted audiences far beyond the scientific community. His ideas were revolutionary, and though initially met with skepticism, they quickly gained recognition. In 1915, after years of intense work, Einstein presented his general theory of relativity. He expanded his earlier ideas, proposing that gravity is not a force, but rather the curvature of spacetime itself, caused by mass and energy. This theory was so bold that it was considered almost mystical until, in 1919, a solar eclipse provided proof. Light from distant stars bent around the sun exactly as Einstein had predicted. Headlines around the world proclaimed, "Einstein replaces Newton." Overnight, he became not just a scientist, but a global celebrity. Newspapers, politicians, and even artists discussed his theories. Einstein became a symbol of a new era, when human thought could grasp even the deepest secrets of the cosmos. In 1921, Einstein received the Nobel Prize in Physics not for relativity, but for explaining the photoelectric effect, which formed the basis of modern electronics and solar technology. His fame grew, but Einstein himself remained modest, valuing freedom of thought and humanity above awards. Part 3. Later years, legacy, death, and influence on modernity. The rise of Nazism in Germany changed Einstein's life forever. In 1933, realizing that staying was dangerous, he emigrated to the United States. He accepted a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, where he would remain for the rest of his life. In America, Einstein became more than a scientist. He became a moral voice, advocating for peace, civil rights, and responsibility in science. He supported Zionism, but at the same time warned of the dangers of nationalism. He corresponded with leaders, activists, and young scientists, inspiring new generations. Yet, his life was not without inner conflict. When World War II began, Einstein, fearing Nazi Germany might create nuclear weapons, signed a letter to President Roosevelt, urging support for atomic research. This letter contributed to the Manhattan Project, the development of the atomic bomb. However, Einstein himself never worked on the bomb and later deeply regretted his indirect involvement, becoming a strong advocate for nuclear disarmament. In his later years, Einstein dedicated himself to the search for a unified field theory, an attempt to connect all fundamental forces of nature into a single framework. Though he did not succeed, his efforts paved the way for later advances in physics. Einstein's image in his later years, a man with wild hair, deep eyes, and a kind but thoughtful smile, became iconic. He represented not only genius, but also wisdom, independence, and the courage to challenge conventions. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein passed away in Princeton. Even in his last hours, he continued to work on equations that remained unfinished. Doctors later revealed that his brain was preserved for scientific study. As humanity sought to understand the source of his extraordinary genius, Einstein's legacy is immeasurable. His theories underpin technologies we use daily: GPS, electronics, nuclear energy, and even our understanding of the Big Bang and black holes. More importantly, he became a symbol of intellectual freedom, creativity, and the pursuit of truth. To this day, when we speak of genius, we think of Einstein. His life story is proof that curiosity and courage can change the world. He left behind not only equations, but also an inspiring example of how one person's mind can alter the course of history.